non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
Let's go back a little bit in time. If you think about a decision made by Jimmy Johnson, the Herschel Walker trade, things like that, where so you have a known commodity, this really good player at a position that, at a different time in the NFL was extremely valuable, versus these potential players. And so, you're kind of studying the known versus the unknown. And a lot of times you can do that if you make assumptions using numbers, right? And so that is a real world application of somebody who, I don't know that anybody would call him an analytics person, but he had been very thoughtful and intentional about the known thing versus the unknown thing.
the look on Judd's face.
What?
Judd is the meme with like numbers floating above his head, trying to decipher what Kwesi just said.
Mike Lynn got ripped off because he assumed that Johnson wouldn't cut all those players and therefore trigger them into draft picks. That was an intentional ripoff, I guess, is what you could say. That
it's possible Kwesi doesn't know the full history of Minnesota
I think it's
Vikings
a bad example for him. You know what? Again, I'm sitting here with my phone. I got a lot of free time. Call me up before you say something like that, and I'll be like, let's use a different example.
Judd needs to be the Kwesi consultant, the media consultant.
I can be a consultant for all of these people. I can help them out. I'm old. I've seen a lot.
Let's help Judd set up some sort of a storefront website, just like Zolgad Sports Consulting, LLC.
Oh my God.
Let's make this happen.
But I'll keep it off the record. I'll never tell a soul, but my God, a Herschel Walker trade, intentional ripoff, which is, you know what, good for the Cowboys. Great for them.
This is Purple Daily. We're very intentional about entertaining you through the prism of the Minnesota Vikings every single day, and we're very intentional about wanting the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. The show is presented in part by TCL, one of the world's best-selling consumer electronics brands. They have a new lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. This is a Purple Daily Reads the Comments episode of the show. Here we pretty much turn control over to you guys. Your questions, critiques, concerns, your takes, whatever it is, you can always hit us up through the Score North app. There's a little quick message tab at the bottom that you can send us messages throughout the week here. But let's start on Twitter, where the Wanye Best tweets into the show. There's a lot of Kirk Cousins stuff here today. I just want to warn people. Trigger warning, if you are triggered by Kirk Cousins discussion, just maybe this is not the episode for you. But the Wanye Best on Twitter says, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, and Patrick Mahomes don't get the level of scrutiny that Kirk Cousins gets.
How does he know that? Like, I would say they get huge scrutiny. And in their markets,
you think those guys get criticized? Well, first of all,
they don't play well. Sure, they do.
Okay, I didn't know you were going to go that path with it. I would say that if Kirk Cousins gets more criticism than those three guys, which I think is true, why do you think that is? Why do you think people would criticize Kirk Cousins, who's never won more than 10 games in a regular season, who's never been to the conference championship game, who's never come anywhere near a championship at any level of football in his life, would maybe be criticized more than Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, and Patrick Mahomes, who've combined for almost 10 Super Bowl championships? Why do you think that is? That's my question.
I mean, they're all held to a standard for sure. Do you not want Kirk held to a standard? Are we just supposed to punt on Kirk? Well, he's paid a lot, but let's go easy on Kirk. I mean, this infuriates me because it elects to basically minimize Cousins as a player. Basically, what he's saying is, well, you just leave Kirk alone. Okay, then he shouldn't play pro football and he shouldn't be paid as much. Like, that's a ridiculous thing. If I'm Kirk, I'm offended by that question, not by us.
I mean, it's simple. He's made a crap ton of dough, dude. He's had 4, I believe, top 3 cap hits for his position. I believe, I'm paraphrasing here, Over the Cap had this like earlier this week, but guys like Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady, I think they've only had like up to of 1. Like they've been able to restructure their contract. Like, for example, Matt Ryan. Okay, let's compare Matt Ryan and Kirk Cousins just for a bit. Matt Ryan has won an MVP award. He had his team on the doorstep and unfortunately is the poster boy, wrongly accused, but poster boy for the biggest Super Bowl collapse of all time. But I don't think people have like looked on Matt Ryan's career as criticized or on the same level as Kirk. Like as in Kirk has been criticized to the 100th degree in terms of Matt Ryan. But is the difference between Kirk Cousins and Matt Ryan at the end of the day when we're talking about like Hall of Fame bust, is it that different? Is it that different? It's very strange, but I understand why people criticize Kirk Cousins.
I get so tired in this town, especially, of us trying to take the pressure off guys who should welcome that pressure.
Mm-hmm.
We're constantly trying to deflect. Don't talk about Kirk anymore. This is not fair to Kirk, folks. He should welcome it. He is the quarterback, really, really well paid of a National Football League team. Like, you win championships by having tremendous pressure on you. Question becomes, can you handle it? If you can't, you're not a winner.
I would also say this. Listen, football is a team sport, but it's funny the way that people use football as a team sport in a hypocritical nature. Football is a team sport. You can't just blame one guy. Okay, if football is such a team sport, which it is a team sport. But if it's such a team sport, why would you allocate 15 to 20% of your cap expenditure on one guy? Unless that one guy had a huge impact on winning, right?
Very good point. Yes.
Well, but that's the going market rate for a quarterback. Well, the going market rate for something isn't the same as the best way to go about building a Super Bowl roster, right? Like, how many teams that are paying market rate, quote unquote, like top 5 money to a quarterback win a Super Bowl in any given year? Like, it's almost always teams that have value at that position. They either have a rookie scale contract or they have a guy like Tom Brady or Matthew Stafford who, because of the flexibility of their long-term contracts, are taking less money to the cap in a particular season, right? So, the other thing too is Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, I just looked this up, have combined for 20 appearances in conference championship games in their careers, all right? Kirk has never come close to a conference championship game, let alone a Super Bowl. So that's why he gets scrutinized compared to some of the other quarterbacks in the NFL.
And
Brady, it's not hard to figure out.
Brady gets scrutinized a lot. If he struggles, it's on national talk shows for weeks. Like, if Tom Brady's not playing, there was a time with the Patriots when we all thought he's basically done. Mm-hmm. It was scrutinized constantly. But if you don't want the scrutiny, that's what people need to understand. If the athlete doesn't want it, then the athlete's not a winning player. There's nobody who's great who doesn't enjoy the scrutiny because they thrive on it.
Bart Whedon via YouTube here says the uncomfortable truth is Cousins' contract is actually a bargain. Yes, a bargain. Compare his numbers to other top 15 quarterbacks or so, like Deshaun Watson's $230 million guaranteed deal or Tannehill's current contract. As new contracts continue to roll in, Cousins' deal isn't that far out of line. Your thoughts? Do you think Cousins' contract is actually a bargain right now?
I wouldn't call it a bargain, but I do agree. It's not like now it's not incredibly bad. But here's what I think. I think that, and this is why 2022 of my 50 plus years on earth might be my favorite, because this 2022 is going to clear up any question about the pressure on Kirk. Again, he's being given everything he wants. A good coach who's going to be friendly, who's going to meet with him, which, by the way, he should. He's being, people that are in the business to make Kirk as successful as possible are giving him an offensive line. I don't want to hear it. It's not good enough. No, it is. They decided, right? Justin Jefferson, Thielen, Irv Smith coming back, hopefully. Cook. So I think that the planets are aligned for Kirk to have an unbelievable year. And if he doesn't, guess what? He's going to deserve the scrutiny he gets.
Yeah. I would frame it this way, okay? NFL contracts tend to be a lot of smoke and mirrors, okay? Kirk's contracts are not smoke and mirrors. They are short-term deals with ironclad guarantees and almost zero flexibility for the team to lower cap hits unless they add more guaranteed money on a future season, right? So he currently, even after the restructure or the extension, has the third highest cap hit in the NFL of any player. The other two are Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill has the highest cap hit of any player in the NFL this year, so that's problematic for the Titans. And Patrick Mahomes, with that new contract, is slightly above Kirk Cousins. So unless you think Kirk is the best quarterback in the NFL, making the third most money to the cap, only then would it be a bargain. It cannot be. I only care about cap hits. I don't care about like the smoke and mirrors money and like, the average annual value. Like, The money to the cap is the most important thing because because now you have to, okay, what other money do you have to build a roster? So it is not a bargain. I'm not saying it's like completely crippling them from building a competitive team, but like you can't say it's a bargain if he's the third highest paid quarterback unless you think he's the best quarterback in the league.
It's not a bargain, but what it is it sounds like a very fair contract for a guy who's going to play a huge role in them making a deep playoff run. Like, I think that's very fair to say. Like, the more I examine this offensively, everything's in place for this team. Now, do I think it's going to take place? I absolutely do not. But my expectations are, from what the Vikings are doing, is that it is a good contract given to a guy who they think can be a superstar.
Adam via Twitter says, "Why do you have Kirk so much? Why do you hate Kirk so much when he's better than Stafford? Cousins doesn't make the same dumb mistakes Stafford does. If Kirk was on that Rams team, he would have a Super Bowl as well."
I'm triggered. Go ahead. You two talk because I'm triggered now. This is ridiculous.
What do you mean? Kirk has it's a hypothetical. Congratulations to Cousins. He has a hypothetical Super Bowl ring. If he would have been on the Rams, he would have a Super Bowl ring. Congratulations. Hang the banner.
My heart racing right now.
By the way, okay, the Stafford interception thing. Okay, you saw Matthew Stafford, flaws and all, win a Super Bowl and lead that offense in some key situations throughout the playoffs, right? Why does it matter that he throws interceptions? You've already seen it not matter. Like, his interceptions didn't prevent them from winning a Super Bowl. But we hang a banner because Kirk avoids interceptions and avoids risk, right? It's just...
It's weird, dude. I don't get it.
I just can't. I can't do it anymore.
All right, stick with me here. Okay, Luke Spildy via YouTube says, Mackey has to find something to bash on besides Kirk Cousins. He's like Skip Bayless and LeBron James. Luke, are you comparing Kirk Cousins to LeBron James? If you're going to compare me to Skip Bayless, I mean, Skip makes like $9 million a year. So if I can aspire to be Skip Bayless at some point, I guess that wouldn't be as bad of a thing as maybe you think. But LeBron James, like, the criticism of Skip Bayless is, dude, you're watching one of the three greatest players of all time, and you just crap on him on every show, right? So unless you think we're watching one of the three greatest quarterbacks of all time, who deserves, who's getting unwarranted criticism, I'm not sure I understand the comparison. So, a lot of good Kirk stuff on this.
Why don't you talk about the punters and kickers more? Let's talk about the gunners, Phil. Why don't you criticize the gunners?
Okay, I've got some other stuff for you here, but listen, next Thursday at Surly Brewing Company, it's the Surly Purple Daily NFL Draft Party Extravaganza. Judd, let's talk about it.
All right, next Thursday, Surly Brew Hall. Doors open at 3. We start approximately at 6. Admission? Well, let's see. Draft parties ordinarily cost something. So let me flip through my notes to see what the price is for our draft party. Oh, it's $0. It's $0. Now, if you bring a non-perishable can of food or cans of food to help our cause, that would be fantastic. You can walk away with a TCL TV. You can also drink Before I Die brew, which, by the way, is being brewed especially for this event because the goal is, before we die, for us to all celebrate a Vikings championship. And let me tell you right now, there are a lot of beer companies out there that brew a special beer, right? They brew a special beer. What they do is they take the can and they wrap it in a different thing, and they're like, this is our new brew. Well, no, it's not. It's a repackaged. The Surly Brewmaster has been working on this for weeks, if not months. This is a one-night-only special beer being brewed. So, yes, come on down, join us. It's going to be a great time. And again, that admission charge, you're going to have to open your wallet and pull out nothing.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. And you also have a chance to win a TCL 65-inch 5-series Google Smart TV. So come on out, hang out with us. We'd love to meet as many of you as possible. So, and if you plan on coming out, just send us a DM or hit us up on Twitter, or whatever, so we can make sure that we put her in the old vice and cheers a couple Surleys.
We'll just nux this, okay? We'll just nux.
Also, hey, it's golfing season. Meadows at Mystic is on the verge of opening up here.
I'll be teeing off tomorrow morning. And also, I recommend teeing off at the Meadows at Mystic Lake. Right now, I'm looking at tee times on Sunday. I see tee times in the 9 a.m. hour, 10 a.m. hour. There's Plenty of tee times because the Meadows is finally open. It's a savings of 36%, $80 with the cart. It's a great rate because it's one of the best courses in all of the state of Minnesota. Quick drive just down 169. And then while you're there, go check out the golf shop. Also sign up for your frequent player card. Because if you sign up, it locks you into a rate of $75 plus tax. And you can book out your tee time 3 weeks in advance. Show us your clubs. I want to see some bombs from that first tee box. Meadows at Mystic Lake. Proud sponsor of Purple Daily.
Bada bing. All right, boys. Let's dive back into the comment section here. Purple Daily reads the comments. Okay, Rants the Ripper on YouTube says, the biggest area for improvement, according to Phil, is the offense going from 14th to 5th, and he thinks that that's better than the defense going from 32nd to 15th? Dude, come on. Couple things here real quick, and then I'll throw this back at you guys in a question. The Vikings defense was not 32nd last year, okay? It was not good, but it was not 32nd. It depends on the measurement, but 25th in yards per play or something. So let's not completely over-exaggerate. But if you had a choice, would you rather see, let's go points per game, would you rather see the Vikings offense go 14th to 5th or the Vikings defense go from wherever they were in the mid to low 20s to 15th?
Well, I want the offense to be top 5. So I would pick that one. I would like the defense, if I could pick it, to be in the teens. I can take the teens. I think if you're 20 or below, you're starting to get into dangerous territory. Mm-hmm. But if I could have, but I think it's realistic for both of those things to take place. I think the offense can be top 5 scoring wise. And I don't think it's going to be an act of God to, let's say, get the defense scoring wise to 19th. Mm-hmm. I think that is. But your point, which I think we all agree with, is this team is going to pick an offensive path with an improved defense. Mm-hmm. But it's not. But this isn't the Zim days. See, we need to get away from the Zim days because the Zim days were, if the defense ain't good, we're screwed. That's not how this is going to be built. And I agree. I do agree with the philosophy of this is an offensive league now, so maximizing that side of the ball probably more realistic.
Mm-hmm. Dex?
Yeah, I mean, going from 14th to top 5 is what this team needs to do from an offensive standpoint. And with the defense, look, if they go from, 25th to 15th, sure, that's an improvement. But all I care about with defense, and it's hard to quantify this sometimes, but situations. Can you be really good in third downs? Can you be good on the red zone? And can you do one thing elite or at a very good level? Like the Vikings hopefully are banking on this fact that Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter can get after the quarterback. No matter what rookie they plug in, it's probably teams are going to be passing on the Vikings like crazy, and they're probably going to be surrendering a crap ton of yards through the air this season. But can they be top 5, top 10 in pressure rates and sacks and make up for it somewhere else? That's what I care about on defense. And I think the Vikings offense being top 5 should be the more primary goal there.
Yeah, I think you kind of mentioned from a defensive standpoint, what is the great thing that you do? I think from a team standpoint, what are you great at? And again, we're kind of painting an either or scenario here. It's not a black and white binary choice. But if you had the 14th best offense and the 14th best defense, guess what you have? A fringe mediocre playoff team, right? Which is the mud that the Vikings have been stuck in forever. And so I think the offense is closer to being great with an offensive-minded coach, the weapons, Kirk Cousins having a better relationship with scheme and coach. The offense is the more logical leap from 14th to 5th. And again, no one's saying that the defense can't get better or shouldn't get better. It should get better too, because they were so bad, historically bad, inside the final 2 minutes of each half last year. So if it looked something like 5th best offense scoring and 18th best defense, but decent in situations like third down and red zone, now you've got a team that can do something in the playoffs. But I think if you're average at both, but we improve the defense, you're just stuck in the same place. Let's see here. Freakerby the Speaker on YouTube says, Purple Daily is the purple standard. Thank you. The very next comment from Mike J on YouTube is, Mackie and Judd know nothing about football.
You know what? And everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome. Those who love us, those who can't stand us.
Amazing. Okay, Jamie K on Twitter says, Paul Allen is getting excited about the draft. He said on his show this week, going from the 12th pick to the 4th pick could happen. Have you guys heard any of this moving up to the 4 steam? And I'll even throw out, what would you think of that?
On one, I've heard nothing. I did some checking after I heard that, and I've heard zero about that. That does not mean Paul's wrong. It just means that is not out there. It's not circulating among the masses. What would I think about it? I wouldn't like it because the price would be extremely high. And I don't know, like if this was for a quarterback, I'd be like, oh, okay. If you like a quarterback that much, you do that. But it wouldn't be. And I'm all about QB wise, the 2023 draft. So like Sauce Gardner sounds fantastic. But if you go up to like the 4th or 5th pick from 12, that is a huge price. I think in this draft, that would be a mistake. I think there's depth in this draft, and I think there's some very nice players. I don't know that there's a guy who's worth trying to shoot that far up. And ordinarily now, I feel like that is usually a quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know if there's any player in the top 5 that I truly would do that for. Aiden Hutchinson looks like a stud, but he's probably going 1 overall. After that, I feel like the draft is so up in the air. Like no one knows how this board's going to shake out. And unless the Vikings obviously know more than we do, but I don't see any player that's worth mortgaging future picks to move up to the top 5. It's not worth it.
I think like moving up 8 spots, moving from 12 to 4, you're not just giving up like, oh, second round pick. Like you're giving up capital to move up that far. I think the only way I would do that is if I was in the market for a quarterback, if it would be for Malik Willis, but you've got Kirk signed through 2023 at this point. So I just don't know if that, I don't know why you would give up the capital to get a guy that you're going to sit for a year or two anyways. It just, I don't know. We'll see. It would be exciting, but all right. And then Sean P. via the Score North app says, you guys have been talking a lot about the Vikings taking a wide receiver at 12. I actually hate this, and here's why. It's about the long-term plan. Although it seems like a great idea for the now and the future, I disagree because I'm expecting a star or at least a very good player at 12 and would like to plan on him being with the Vikings for 8 to 10 years, including a big contract, right? This would be virtually impossible with a wide receiver, assuming the Vikings sign Justin Jefferson to a big extension after his rookie deal. So Sean is saying, Sean's kind of looking like 4 or 5 years in the future. Would you be able to have 2 dudes making, $30+ million if it pans out with the 12th pick at wide receiver? What are your thoughts on that?
What's the old cliched saying? Assuming makes an ass of me and you. The Justin Jefferson thing we got to talk about, like at some point in time. Like I talked about it pretty extensively with Chip on Purple Access this week, but the assumption that this is going to go seamlessly, look at what's going on with this position. I'm just saying you can never have enough receivers. And by the way, to be very clear, in our radio days, at that time, I was very anti-receiver first round. But the position's changing. And you got to evolve. You got to change. You got to change your thought process. I just think it's very dangerous to assume that the Jefferson thing is a slam dunk. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, because ultimately, look at Deebo Samuel. Look at the receivers that have Devontae Adams, right? That have said, I'm if I'm going to sign that big contract, I want to go somewhere else. Tyreek Hill. So I don't think you can obsess over a hypothetical that's 4 or 5 years away. 5 years away, because if you draft a receiver in the first round, you don't have to worry about that contract for a half decade. So I wouldn't be paralyzed by that thought. But I like the high level thinking of roster building down the road.
I do too.
So good comment there. But there it is. Purple Daily reads the comments here. Every single week, we devote 2 episodes to your comments because we are the most fan-friendly show, even though we can be hard on these teams sometimes. We're the most fan-friendly show in Minnesota sports. A shout-out to our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company as well. They've been helping business owners maximize their success through risk management tools and resources for over 100 years. They're based in Owatonna, and you can find a full list of industries Federated protects at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. All right, dudes. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you need any more Timberwolves therapy, my DMs are open.
This Kirk thing's got me so flustered and pissed off I can't even operate.
See you guys. Purple Daily.